Hey guys, it's Natalia and welcome back to another custom order episode. So today I'm going to be making another dress. If you guys haven't watched the first episode of this series, feel free to watch that. I will link that down below. But basically, hello, hi, I'm Natalia. I'm a sustainable fashion designer. I have my own shop, but I also offer custom orders. So today I'm going to be making one of them. So I've already figured out the design with the client. She did not give me any inspiration pictures. She just told me she wanted something really fun and something that she could dress up or down. She said she was going to be moving to New York soon, so she wanted something she could like wear out on the streets and just like look cute, but nothing too crazy either. So with that in mind, I went ahead and gave her all of these options and we began narrowing them down and eventually we reached this option and I'm very excited about it. I think it's super cute. These aren't the colors that we chose though. I just kind of put those as neutral colors and then we ended up choosing other ones later. So once we figured out the design, we went ahead and figured out some fabrics. Usually I send them a bunch of fabric options and a bunch of different like colors and different things, and then from there they'll tell me what they like, what they don't like, and then we kind of go back and forth about it until we reach something we love. And we found these two beautiful fabrics that I think are gonna be wonderful for the spring. Hold on. So we ended up choosing this beautiful creamish color and then this really nice and bright like peachy, salmony, orange, I don't know what you want to call this color, but it's really pretty. So it's gonna be these two together. This is gonna be the main part of the dress and then this is gonna be the accented part. So I'm very excited. I think these are gonna be super cute together and it's gonna look so cute on her. So without further ado, let's get started on this. I don't know how well you can really see this because it's obviously penciled, but I have sketched out the pattern for it. I actually made tops over the summer that had the same neckline. I'll put a picture up here. So I took the pattern from that fit her measurements and used that for the top, and then obviously extended it to be a dress at the bottom. I have the uneven hem here because that's how the dress is. And then I drew out the kind of cutout, which I'm gonna then cut out and then add seam allowance for this and that so that I can cut it out from two separate pieces. So there's that. The bottom ruffle and the top strap I'm gonna do a little bit later, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this out as is so we can just start sewing it, putting together, and then we'll do the pattern for the ruffle, which I'll show you guys how I do those. And then obviously the strap is just like a long rectangle, but we'll add that in at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out and then start cutting it out from the fabric. So now I have it all cut out and I put it together so you guys can kind of see what it's gonna look like. This is kind of the overview. I think it's gonna be super cute. So now we're gonna move on to actually sewing this. And when it comes to knit fabrics, I usually only serge them because that allows for it to still have stretch in the seam. Because if you use a regular sewing machine and a regular straight stitch, that seam isn't actually going to stretch, but with a serger, it allows for stretch, which is why you see a lot of people using only sergers to sew knit fabrics. I get that question a lot whenever I'm making like my t-shirts or a lot of the knit fabric stuff that I have on my shop. Yes, I use only the serger. Sometimes I do reinforce it with a straight seam if I feel like it's not strong enough, because sometimes the serger that I have right now, I don't feel is as strong as the serger I used to have that I just haven't gotten fixed. So sometimes I do reinforce it if I see that it might not be too good, but usually just with a serger because it allows for stretch and it looks nicer, it's super easy, and it obviously gives a really clean finish at the end because you don't have to finish any seams. So it's super quick and super efficient, which is why I use a lot of knit fabrics for my shop, because it's a lot easier to mass produce knits than it is wovens. So that's that. Let's get serging. Pretty much put together at this point, let's start making the ruffles. So this isn't like a full-on tutorial. I will do tutorials at some point, but I just kind of want to show you guys the process of making a ruffle because the pattern making process of it isn't as simple as it looks, or it's not what you might think it looks like, because you can't just cut like a straight strip and put it on there and expect it to ruffle, because that's just not how fabric works. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. There's two different types of ruffles you can do. You can do gathered ruffles, which would be a straight strip and then you gather it and then it ruffles up, or you can do it on bias so that it's not gathered at the top, but it's still ruffles. And that's just on the way you cut the fabric, which is what I'm gonna do because I think it looks cleaner and I like the look of it a lot better. So you're gonna need some measurements. I took the measurement of the bottom hem, which is 35, so 17.5 for each side. And I'm gonna just do 17.5 because I'm gonna cut out 2 of them and put it together to make the whole instead of cutting it out all at once. So I'm gonna take 17.5 as my measurement. I'll put a little drawing on here of how it's actually supposed to like look because it's a little harder to explain without having a set image. But basically you have to make a spiral and make sure that spiral is obviously the same width all the way around, the width that you want the actual ruffle to be, which I think I'm going to make it about 5.5 inches so then I can obviously hem it and all of that and have room for seam allowance. So you want to make a spiral that goes kind of in that shape because when you cut that, that'll mean it's on bias and then it'll ruffle up nicely. But yeah, make sure it's the same width all the way around and that the inner kind of loop part is the same measurement that you want it to fit. So for me, it's the 17.5, that inner little circle. I hope that makes sense. You'll kind of see it. Hopefully that helped, but let's do that. Circular piece, if you straighten it out, then it ruffles and it's super cute and it looks a lot better than when it's gathered, personally, I think. But obviously it takes up more fabric and it's the more kind of couture way of doing things, or like the more nicer way of doing things. But it's super cute and it's gonna look so good on the skirt. I'm very excited for this. So now we're going to go ahead and serge this onto the skirt. So I just finished putting it on and it looks so cute. It's gonna be so fun when she's like walking around and it has a lot of movement to it. So very excited about that. So I wanted to put this on the mannequin because this person specifically has a lot bigger chest and she says it's really hard to find dresses that fit. So obviously I wanna make sure this one fits really, really well on her. So I went ahead and padded my mannequin up to her measurements just to make sure that it'll fit okay, because obviously laying it flat, you can't really tell. So I decided to do that and there are some changes I wanna make. So I'm gonna show you guys. So this is what it looks like right now. I might actually shorten it too. I'm just gonna wait on that for a sec, but as you can tell, this is definitely way too high up. So I'm going to cut down to obviously have room for the arm because she obviously does have a bigger chest, so it kind of brought this up a lot. So I've kind of pinned where I'm going to cut around, as well as on the back, and then up here I also undid the shoulder so that I can redo it so that it matches nicely up here. So I'm going to cut that and also kind of adjust it. So there's that. So this comes to show that I don't always rely just on pattern making. I think I'm better at draping, to be honest, but obviously pattern making is a lot faster. So I do that and then I obviously put it on there and make sure that it looks fine and drape if need be. So yeah, there's that. Obviously mistakes can be made and they can be fixed. So that is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and cut around it, fix it, and then we'll start doing all the finishes. So now we're gonna move on to do the finishes. So I went ahead and measured around the top neckline part and see how much it was. It was about 30 inches. So I went ahead and cut a strip of the same fabric that is about like 29 inches so that it is a little bit smaller so that it tightens this up a bit. And we're basically gonna do like a little binding hem with it. So pretty much I will sew it onto here and then we're gonna like fold it back and fold it inward and then sew again, so then it's like a tiny little binding seam thing. And we're gonna do that on this bottom part as well, but we're gonna do that later because that one's a little trickier with the corner, but we will manage, we will do it. So let's get sewing. So as you can see, I now have the binding on here, so I'm going to do the same on this end. And obviously now it doesn't like loop out like it did before because it is a little bit tighter than the actual measurement of this so that it like sticks to it well. So now I'm gonna do this one and then I'll show you guys how I do the corner. I kind of just like cut into it, but you'll see what I do with it. But yeah, I've got my piece, so let's do it. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit more in depth on this binding. So I've just sewn it in, I basically just put right sides together, it looks like that. And then I'm going to cut away some of this excess seam allowance. And then what you're going to do is take this, fold it over. So then you're going to sew right there and make sure it catches on the other side. And then you have a binding. Not too difficult, but definitely a little bit tedious. So for the corner, I actually did this off camera already, but I wanted to show you guys anyway. You basically just have to sew like a corner into it, like sew a little triangle off so that it actually becomes a corner. I don't know if that makes any sense. Basically, if this were the piece, I sewed into it like that so that it made a little triangle so that it becomes a corner, so that it lays nicely as a corner instead of it being like a really loose, like weird circular type thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that. So like I said earlier, I'm sewing right on that seam to create this nice binding. So let's do it. So obviously I need to iron this out to make it actually like look nice and lay flat, but there it is. It is now like fully binded at the top. So it looks nice. Obviously, again, I need to iron it out so it actually lays flat. But now the only thing we have to do is add the last extra strap that goes here. That is the same like salmon-y tone. And I think I'm actually gonna shorten this. So I'm going to bring this up to here. So I'm just gonna cut this diagonally again and take this off of here and just re-put it up there because it ended up a lot longer than I intended it to. I guess I measured out a lot longer than it needed to be, but yeah, so I'm gonna do that and then we'll be done. So I went ahead and shortened this and I think it looks a lot better. I added this little random strap in. It's not actually sewn in. I just took a random piece of fabric and laid it there so I could take a picture and send it to her and ask her if there's any changes to be made. So I just did that. So we're just gonna wait on her reply to finish and make sure that there's not anything she wants to add or change. I always want to give that option before I finalize things just in case. So we'll do that and yeah, I'll be back to you guys when she answers. So it is a little bit later and she finally got around to answering me. We've been going back and forth a little bit and she actually said that she wants to take off the ruffle. She said it might look a little too formal with the ruffle, which I actually totally understand, and I think that she definitely has a good point there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. We decided on keeping the diagonal hemline though, because I told her we could do it two ways of just like making it short and making it a straight hemline and just kind of like a mini dress, or we could still keep the diagonal hemline, just not have the ruffle on it. And she decided on the diagonal, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. I'm just gonna cut it off. I don't really need to seam rip it. It's like the tiniest little seam. It's not gonna make a big difference. And then I'll send her an updated picture with it. So I just cut that off and I sent her a picture, so I'm gonna wait till she responds, see if there's anything else that she wants to change. This is why I always like to send pictures right before I finish things, so right before I do all the hems and all that type of stuff, because a lot of times people will change their mind, which is totally understandable because I personally change my mind on my designs all the time and I make changes last minute, because once you start seeing it together, sometimes it doesn't look the way you thought it would, and it's totally normal to change your mind. So that's why I always like to have like constant back and forths with my clients and sending them pictures of the process just to make sure that it still looks the way they pictured it to and still like it and all of that. So that's definitely a big pro tip if you're doing anything custom. Make sure that you're constantly keeping communication, make sure that everything's still good so that you don't finish it completely and then they're like, oh, actually I would like to change this, and then you have to undo things. Saves you a lot of time to just kind of have that constant communication. So we're gonna wait on that and then see if there's anything else she wants to change, and if not, then we'll go ahead and finish everything off. Okay, she answered and said it looked good, so I went ahead and started making the little strap. So I have this ready to now pin onto here and figure out where I want to actually place it, and then we'll sew it in, and then we'll do the hem, and then we're done, which is super exciting. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I just got the strap on there and I'm gonna go ahead and do the hem, and then we'll literally be done, which is so exciting. So I'll send her a picture, get the address, and then be able to ship it out. But I'm super excited. I'm gonna go ahead and hem it and then I'll show you guys the finished result. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I realized I kind of made it a little bit different than my actual drawing as far as how deep the V here went and how like long the little side cutout thing was, which I didn't realize until literally just now. But it turned out really cute. I like how it looks, she likes how it looks, so it's okay. But yeah, didn't turn out exactly how I drew it, so oops, but also we're all happy with it, so it is okay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, let me know if you want more of these videos. I'm having a lot of fun filming them and you guys seem to like them, so let me know and I will definitely do more of these. And yeah, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you get notified whenever I upload a new video and you don't miss out on any other fun little projects and such. And yeah, that'll be it for today's video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!